Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn 101. This episode is going to be featuring Bard, which is the subject of a lot of controversy on the forums. The reason being is that Bard is a supporty DPS, and when you start as an archer, you're thinking, okay, I am going to start as archer and I'm going to become a ranged DPS, and that's just not the case here. When you start as archer, you become Bard, which is a supporty DPS. You have a lot of utility for your group, and don't get me wrong, they are super helpful. Everything they have is a great kit. They are a very well put together job. The thing is, a lot of people just don't really know what they're going to be getting into if they start archer and turn Bard. So I am going to just jump right into it. But before I do that, let me just say this video is in no way a breach of the non-disclosure agreement currently placed on Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. We are not allowed to use audio or video, but so I will be using screenshots to show you guys just how it works. So let me just change my screen region real quick and we will get into this. Bam, there we go, guys. So this is your action and traits menu. You have your actions and traits, which, if you've seen my previous episodes, are your essential class abilities and passives. But now you have the job tab, which shows you what what job abilities that you have. So let's just jump right into it. Let's not beat around the bush any further. The first ability is for Final Fantasy XI vets, Mage's Ballad. Now, keep in mind, some of these things are going to repeat across a lot of the songs because a lot of them have a lot of similarities in how they function. So, Mage's Ballad has a cast of 3 seconds, a recast of 2.5, and a radius of 20 yalms. So, those are all static, but before you assume how it works, let's get into it. This refreshes the MP of all nearby party members while lowering your own damage dealt by 20%. Now, without knowing exactly how they function, without casting it, that can be pretty confusing. How long does it lower your 20% your damage by 20%? How long do people get the MP for? How does that work? Why is the number not shown? The reason is songs don't work that way anymore. Now, as you can see, the next line says MP is drained while singing. This is because when you activate a song, it becomes a buff for you. You can still do all of your other actions, but it becomes a buff for you. And while you have that buff, you are pulsating out the effect in a 20 yalm radius, which is huge, by the way. That means that if you stand in one place, 20 yalms to your left, somebody can get the effect. 20 yalms to your right, somebody can get the effect. That means you use a 40 yalm diameter. Essentially, that's a huge AoE effect. It means it hits a lot of people very easily in terms of raids and whatnot. So but MP is drained while singing. While you have that buff, your MP is going down over time, and you cannot keep these buffs up that long. You're gonna run out of MP at some point. So it's gonna be really nice to see how everything works when you have 3 bards in like a raid and you need to say, okay, one's going to be doing foes, one's going to be doing the other one. But let's not get into that until after we've spoken about the other songs. Also, the effect is not gained by somebody being in the initial range when you cast it. It's actually if anybody walks into range of you while the song is pulsating. So you don't need to hit somebody with the song initially. You just need to be in range of them at some point. Now, so it's lost if people move out of the hearing distance, as it says, and it ends upon reuse. You can manually end the buff, and it also cannot be used at the same time as any other song. So one bard only has one spell of one of their songs up active at any time, and that is why there are 3 songs. So let's move over to the next one, Foe Requiem. Again, cast, recast radius, all the same. The mana losing over time is the same. The effect being lost when they move out is all the same. Everything but the actual effect will be the same. So let's just shorten that down right now. This reduces all enemy elemental resistances by 10%. That means if there are any enemies in the range of the bard, they will take 10% more elemental damages. While some people are probably thinking, okay, why is there a song that only affects like Black Mage and Summoner? Well, that's not exactly true. Melee abilities, some of them do have attributes attached to them. For example, Dragoon has Dragonfire Dive. That's fire damage. That would also benefit from this. It would do 10% more damage with Foe Requiem on. So it's nice to see how the elemental resistances, while not being a factor that can completely shut a class down, are actually can be affected. Certain job abilities and class abilities can be affected by lowering enemy elemental resistances. So that's all for Foe Requiem. Let's move on to Armies Paeon. Cast, recast radius, all the same. This one refreshes TP of all nearby party members while lowering your own damage dealt by 20%. That means that you are essentially giving everybody more raid-wide damage or more raid-wide sustained damage while lowering your own damage at the time being by 20%. And obviously your MP is drained over time. This is going to be super important for long drawn-out fights because TP does, despite what some people think, if you are using your abilities to greatest effectiveness, you might see your TP go down a lot. Now, if you spam your AoE, you're going to see them go down instantly, so that's not the most effective way. The most effective way is to try and keep it going for a long period of time. And that, for a lot of people, that doesn't mean spamming. Sometimes there are just times when you don't need to use an ability, especially tanks. If tanks are way above everybody on their damage meter, they could be doing the extra damage with the abilities, but they could also be storing up some TP to use in case of like a giant AoE situation. There are a lot of different ways to handle it, but this spell is going to give you more room for error and more room to spam your abilities. So hopefully those 3 songs get balanced out. Obviously, in the 24-man raid, you're going to have all 3 songs because you're going to want 3 bards. There's no way you don't want 3 bards. And, it's going to be interesting to see how maybe somebody casts Foe's Requiem when they want to do a burst, and Army's Paeon when they want to do a burst section. And then the other bard will cast Mage's Ballad afterwards, so that or maybe during. It's weird. We're going to see how it works, but I'm going to assume that they're going to try and synchronize all 3 songs to be used at a certain point, or maybe at different points in the fight. So next we have their actual damage ability called Rain of Death, which delivers an attack with a potency of 100 to target and all enemies near it. So it locks onto a target and damages all the enemies near that target. This also lowers the enemy's damage dealt by 10% while increasing their damage taken by 10%. That is a crazy good AoE. If you think about that, that increases raid-wide damage by 10% in an AoE scenario. Even in a single target scenario, that is a massively awesome ability. Also, that lasts 20 seconds. That's a pretty long time. But keep in mind, look at the TP cost. Look at that. It is a 200 TP. That's 1/5 of your TP, all of it. Now, that's interesting because not only that, but this has the additional effect that there's a 15% chance your next quick knock will cost no TP. And that lasts 10 seconds. Now, that brings up an interesting thing about bards. Bards actually have an AoE DPS rotation. They actually have, I forget what the other ability is. They have abilities that chain into each other. Their Wide Volley chains into Rain of Death, and their Rain of Death chains into Quick Knock. That's if you get lucky, but so basically you probably use Rain of Death for the decrease, and then you'd probably either use Quick Knock or Wide Volley, depending on what kind of procs you're looking for. Since this only does 100 damage, AoEs don't do a crazy amount of damage. I'd imagine there's a lot better AoE scenarios, but bards are AoE machines in this game. So, don't be disappointed. They are better in an AoE situation as they are in a single target situation, but they still do really excellent single target damage between Bloodletter. I've gotten to test it between Bloodletter, Venomous Bite, Wind Bite. Everything. They do a ton of sustained damage, so it's really awesome. I really like the job in class so far. But let's go talk about their final ability, Battle Voice. Sits on a 5-minute cooldown instant cast. This doubles the effectiveness of all songs except Swift Song for 30 seconds. That is a big effect. That is your essentially, okay, we need to burn them down. Okay, we really need some massive sustain. That is a really, really good ability. Obviously, again, it's more on the supporty side, but then again, you are a support DPS, so it's better to be that way. Even Rain of Death is more on the supporty DPS side, so it's nothing to say. It's a very support DPS class heavy thing. But all of your actions from Archer are actually DPS based. So this is your support side, while all the actions you get with Archer are DPS focused. And not to mention, these aren't all the abilities, but we can assume the rest of them are going to be somewhat supporty. We know that they get some sort of backwards jump. We know a few other things. They do get some single target abilities, but we'll just have to see where it goes from here once we get all of the job abilities in the game. So far, I really like Bard. I think it's balanced really well around the rest of the game. But for those of you still looking for a ranged DPS, try and be the guy who's always casting Foe's Requiem, because that can't hurt your DPS at all. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share, especially if you have a friend who wants to play Final Fantasy XIV and he really wants to be a ranged DPS, and he doesn't really know what he's going to be getting into. Maybe he'll change his mind. Maybe he'll be like, oh, that's cool. I can see what the uses of that are. We'll see how your friend reacts to it. Also, check out my Facebook at www.facebook.com/MrHappy1227. It's in the description below. You can just click it right there. You can go there and you can ask me questions, make submissions for videos. You can ask me to make a video of a specific kind, and if enough people get me to ask it, or if the video makes enough sense, then I will definitely make a video for it. I love the community that has come out to support me on my Facebook page, and I would love it if you would join me there. So thank you for watching, guys. We got one more job to do, and then I'm pretty much done for today. And then there's going to be a little bit less videos per day since I don't want to spam people anymore. But you know what? Keep it keep involved because we still have a lot of information to talk about over the course of the next couple of weeks. So thank you guys, and I will see you next time.